how I see it is that there's no way on earth, there's absolutely no way that a team that have just played the World's Final, that have gone the furthest of any Western team ever, can all of a sudden be bad. Like, there's no way we're supposed to be at the bottom of the rankings. We, like, for God's sake, we just played the World Final. So, from a mechanical perspective, from a gameplay perspective, all sort of these sort of things, like, there's no way we're that far behind. We just have to figure out what on earth is going on, fix it, get back on track, and get back where we belong.
I can tell you for sure that this year I need to step up, otherwise we're not going to win much. So it's probably about time I got back on the high horse and just played a couple of Tristana games.
Welcome back to our coverage of the LEC Spring Split. Fnatic were the undisputed best team in Europe last year, but they are rapidly falling from grace. As you just heard from Broxah and Rekkles, a 0-4 record to start the split. The alarm bells are well and truly ringing. It is deafeningly loud. And as you've heard many times, as Broxah just said as well, from world finalists to 0-4, they need to fix the problems. They need to figure out what's going wrong. And Vedius, what's wrong with Fnatic? I mean, how do they fix the problems?
So a lot of the theme for today has been talking about the identities of teams. And I feel that Fnatic have lost a core part of their identity. Now, that doesn't just mean that they've lost caps. To me, what it means is that last year, their play style and the way in which they found success was by playing through mid lane. And that was largely a combination of Broxah and Hylissang working together in order to get someone ahead. And we haven't seen that at all this year. It feels like that they're just trying to win their laning phase. They're trying to win through team fights. Like, it seems like they're trying all these different things rather than just going back to the core identity that allowed them so much success in 2018.
Now, I want to temper the following statement with the fact that I believe Fnatic can bounce back. I have a lot of faith in the organization. They have proven it time and time again here in the European League of Legends professional scene. But I would be remiss if I were not to say I am disappointed that with 4/5 of that roster, with Young Bucks still at the helm, I'm a little disappointed at how slow this team has started because my expectations were a lot higher. So I want to see this team fixing the problems that they have and living up to the hype that a lot of the fans out there have for the squad.
I think we can all agree that expectations for this team were much stronger than they have performed, right? I think we all agree with that, but you do have to just give them a little bit of leeway. Like 0-4 is not the end of the world. Splice went to playoffs off 0-4 last year. Fnatic have the 6-star general at the helm. They've got Youngbuck. Yes, they lost Dylan Falco, but Youngbuck has shown us how well he can form teams, and they have the players, right? Like Broxah was saying it, they went to Worlds Finals. They were the European shining star, the hope of everyone in Europe. Yeah. Like Fnatic, yes, it's worrying. Yes, it's a trend we do not want to see if you're a Fnatic fan, but you give them another week. Give them a little more time.
Well, let's turn our attention to Rogue because they're in a very similar situation with 0-4. And this is a brand new organization, brand new roster. You can see Wadid all smiles behind us, but he is not all smiles on social media. This might be the best chance that Rogue has had or will have to take down a weakened Fnatic.
Yeah, it certainly will be because I saw some improvements from Rogue last week. I was actually quite impressed with some of the team fights they were able to pull off against Splice. Unfortunately, they fell so far behind in the early game that they couldn't really translate it into anything. And so we now just need to see them level up in terms of their individual laning power. Try and guarantee those strong lanes. Try and get to a point where you're even in the mid game. And when you think about how Fnatic have been playing recently, they haven't been playing through the early game. They haven't been trying to stomp your lanes 1v1, 2v2s. So perhaps that is the avenue in which Rogue could look to find their first win of the split.
And it's a perfect opportunity to get a win and start snowballing some of that confidence as well. We've seen so often a team just needs that first win on the board to actually be able to start playing to their full caliber.
Yeah, exactly like you said. We'll need to see who steps up today, who picks up the first win of the Spring Split. Those alarm bells, they are ringing for the 7-time European champions Fnatic. They are in as desperate a need for a win as Rogue are. Drakos, take it away.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. And of course, I think important to set expectations here, because at the start of the split, you guys already mentioned it, Fnatic coming back, you would just assume that they'd be back at the top, maybe fighting G2, maybe fighting Misfits, or whichever other team you expected to be up there. You did not expect them to be at the bottom. Rogue is a team that could have been there. They had some struggles. People looked at the roster, they said it's not the strongest, and now we come into a matchup that may have been one-sided before the first week of play happened. Now you look at it, it seems like it could just be dead even And that is massive for both teams.
I mean, the good news is that someone has to pick up a win here. The bad news is that both these teams are searching for an identity. It is an identity crisis. You know, are Fnatic going to reinvent the wheel, try to find a different playstyle with these new members like Nemesis in the mid lane, or are they going to go back to the Caps playstyle and just have, you know, Nemesis there instead? And who are Rogue? We know who individually who all these players are, and they've had their career highs and their career lows, but together they're just not Rogue.
Haven't found that identity yet. Wadid talked about it, and I believe Hood Up is what the Rogue series is called. Talked about how we are not G2, we are not Misfits, we are not Rocket, we are Rogue. And we might find out what that means today as we enter picks and bans. Fnatic versus Rogue. Of course, Fnatic on the blue side, Rogue on the red. Already seeing a few bans coming out here. Jace, Kennen taken away, limiting some of those carry champions from the hands of Prophet, and Akali Lucian on the opposite side.
And for me, Prophet's been one of the big standouts for Rogue. He does pretty well in his 1v1s, pending on the matchup. It's been up and down, but so has most of Rogue's performances. And someone is trying to step up across the board. You look at Sencux, you look at Prophet, they're trying to find these hard carry champions and do something for the team, but it's just not clicking. On the other side, Fnatic have tried to put so many eggs in the Rekkles basket. Time after time again, priority picking the ADC, priority picking the Lucian. It's not available this time around, but it seems like the same strategy is being at least hovered here. Switch to Urgot, come on.
Thinking about it. Doesn't even switch, just bam, snap lock in on the Urgot. So power picks remain the focus for both of these squads rather than individual comfort picks or carry picks. You see the Urgot and the Aatrox coming out. Alistar on the opposite side now, so a bit of engaged in the hands of Wadid. That's something I like to see. We've seen him kind of reduced to the catfish duty for so much of the last year that it's good to see him back on an engaged champion.
I mean, I love playmaking here, but unless they get a really strong jungler that can give a lot of that attention to the bot lane, I feel like this is just a step backwards for HeaQ and Wadid. The unfortunate thing about Alistar is he doesn't have a lot of great 2v2 matchups, and that's actually just a huge window that if Hilly and Rekkles continue to play aggressive, like their champion picks have shown in the past, that they can just put HeaQ and Wadid in the ground.
Haven't seen that from them yet, though. They struggled so much in that Schalke matchup.
They've been struggling, but they've been trying. You look at the champions, like, you should win that 2v2, but then, you know, we go a little bit sideways, it's like a 0-12, it's fine.
We'll see, though. We're kind of waiting for that game for Rekkles to pop back up, to look back, or to be back at the top of the 80 carries. You kind of just give him that credit as a veteran player. You'd assume that this is not the level of performance you can expect from him.
And this feels a bit like a denial pick. We did see the hover initially, but now that you see the Alistar picked away for Wadid, you don't really want to give away the Ali Kai'Sa combo and how effective it is in team fights to proc Kai'Sa ultimate. So it almost feels like an instant reaction. Okay, you have the Alistar, I'm going to take the Kai'Sa so you don't get that, we split it up. It does mean that HeaQ picks up something like a Vayne.
Potentially also a flex pick. Vayne flexed both mid and also rumored to be a counter pick top, potentially into the Urgot. So we'll see how exactly they want to use this pick. I think most likely going in the hands of HeaQ. I think you're probably right there. But I like the setup so far from both sides. I like seeing HeaQ on a you know, kind of a carry pick, seeing HeaQ show us a little bit more.
And I was scared that with such an early Alistar rotation that it would leave HeaQ and Wadid exposed to be abused in 2v2 matchups. But with Kai'Sa and Morgana locked in, there's a lot of safety there for Hilly and Rekkles just to turn it into a farm lane, but that also means there's so much safety for HeaQ and Wadid. These are kind of the two statistically worst performing bot lanes in the LEC, and they get kind of a free pass right now where if they want to, they could just play it out safely.
It's surprising to hear that Rekkles and Hylissang are at the bottom there in terms of performance, but of course the 0-4 scoreline does hamper you a bit in terms of stats. Dying in lane does as well. So Lissandra and Lee Sin going to be the final bans. A lot of the more aggressive jungle champions taken off the board for Broxah, giving him a lot of respect in the draft.
But Sejuani is kind of the big sore thumb sticking out here. I would expect Kikis to grab it. We've seen her already throughout the day, as well as globally. There you go.
There is going to be the Sejuani now locked in. Rekkles debating what the next pick is going to be. Have to round out the rest of their composition here, potentially reveal where the Urgot is going to go.
I would like to see more proactive champions from Broxah. It feels though that he's certainly been pinched on the Nocturne and the Lee Sin. Really, he'd have maybe a Kha'Zix to go back to, or he could go for the Zac again, try to scale up with the Sejuani.
Ooh, Syndra now locked in. Nemesis, of course, has had a lot of rough lanes in terms of losing in CS, but still strong individual mechanical skill. And this one, this could be very spicy.
Don't play with my heart.
Okay. Orianna, Ivern. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Zac.
That
All
makes
right,
more
Hylissang. Teasing us, playing with our hearts, but the Zac does offer an incredible engage option. Can, of course, be interrupted by both the Alistar and the Sejuani, so a little bit awkward in that sense, but still very good at making things happen.
The safest option, again, it's low econ, scaling-oriented junglers. The difference between these two is, of course, going to be the windows.
Oh my god. That is a Yasuo.
I told you that Sencux has been trying to hard carry. You look at the champions that he's been trying to play. You got the Akalis, you got the Rivens, you got the Jace. This is not a Sencux that's just trying to get a free pass through lane phase. He's trying his damnedest. It just hasn't been good enough.
And now do we see, I've said this before, but Summer Split first half Sencux, where he pops off, where he plays these dominant carry champions, where he looks unstoppable in the lane phase. Or is Nemesis going to rise up and take this guy out?
And Yasuo is the easy answer here. If you see a Syndra picked this early blindly, of course you're going to grab the Yasuo. His ability to use the wind wall to just ruin her day and deny a lot of that damage, as well as get on top of her, because she is a very low mobility mage. Yasuo can cut through that minion wave and cause a lot of problems for Syndra. So still a good matchup and an easy pickup for Sencux.
And the duos of the Syndra Zac versus the Sejuani Yasuo is going to be exciting to watch. We see both coaches shake hands. 0-4 for Fnatic, 0-4 for Rogue. One team will find a win today. The Fnatic faithful, yeah, it's going to be Fnatic for sure. The Rogue fans say, hey, this is going to be easy. Look at Fnatic. They're down and out. Someone's going to be right, Froskurinn. And we're going to get to find out who in just a moment. When it comes to draft, though, who are you giving the edge to? Who do you see to set themselves up more for success?
I mean, I like the sexiness of Rogue's composition. You got a Yasuo, you got a Vayne. This is like a solo queue nightmare. You see these champions get locked and you're like, this is not going to be a good time, but I always respect when you have the confidence to take it competitively, whereas Fnatic, it's a very safe, stock standard composition. I like the fact that they're giving more agency to Nemesis, allowing him to hard carry on the Syndra, but he's got his work cut out for him looking across from a Yasuo.
We are ready to see as we now get into game. Once again, Fnatic versus Rogue. Both teams yet to find a win. One will find a win today. Fnatic on the blue side, Rogue on the red. Yasuo in the hands of Sencux. Nemesis with the Syndra. New blood versus old blood here in the mid lane.
Battle of the bottom. Someone has to win today. No more disappointment. Questions, though?
Definitely a lot of questions, and I think the first thing I got to look at is this bottom lane. You mentioned that, you know, Fnatic are in a position to just kind of farm it out with the Kai'Sa Morgana, but doesn't HeaQ just want to farm it out too?
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, that early of an Alistar pick, you can get very much punished. He doesn't have a lot of great 2v2 matchups. It's more about the 3v3 when you include the jungle and bottom lanes to really get a lot of power out of that Alistar. But we'll see how Wadid and HeaQ play it. Again, unfortunately for both Fnatic and Rogue fans, these are two of the statistically harder or worse for wear bot lanes. I think between these four players, they have something like 56 combined deaths. It hasn't been a great go for either squad.
And if we take a look at some of the numbers here, as you mentioned, not the best. -28 CSD at 15 minutes, -8 for Rekkles, and the damage per minute just abysmally low. And the deaths per game, something that we really have to point out here, almost 4 deaths per game for Rekkles. This guy spends most of his career not dying in a single game, let alone dying 4 times per. And now we see the level 1 come out, and already Wadid off to a rough start.
And so it makes sense to me that both junglers would start the top side to allow these 2v2 bot laners to get to the lane first and start setting up or get them on the right foot. Fnatic, of course, pulling the first blood. Or not first blood, but first hit.
Absolutely
We'll
are.
see.
And you see Nemesis playing incredibly confidently on this level 1, knowing that Yasuo does not really have the luxury of dashing and diving and wind walling whatever he wants. So well played to bully out here and to push for a level advantage.
So fun thing about Syndra, rookie, one of the best Syndra players in the world, level 1 will take either Q or the toss, the W, pending on his matchup. If you take the W, you can just frankly out-damage people because you can pick up a creep, smack them with it. But if you take the Q, it tells you that you want to shove in the wave faster because it's a lower cooldown. You can get more Qs off in the span of like 30 seconds or so to just hard push. So Nemesis taking the Q, just hard shoving that wave into Sencux and trying to punish him under tower.
And getting the early level advantage means he gets to continue to harass here. Sencux, of course, is the level 2. Level 3 going to be a point where he starts to trade a little bit more. But for now, Nemesis just crushing these individual trades.
And this is kind of the window that he has to do it later on. Yasuo is going to get a lot scarier in this matchup, have some of that kill pressure put back into his pocket. So good read from Nemesis, just say, I have control of the lane phase right now. The junglers aren't going to be ganking me anytime soon, so let's just fish in a barrel, shove this wave in, and just start taking pot shots at Yasuo.
And a good spot to be, too, because it frees up Broxah to check this jungle. Of course, Kikis has already taken away the Scuttle Crab, and Broxah going for very defensive pathing. Clears the top side, does not go for his own Scuttle, immediately goes to the bottom side, knows that he does not win out on these duels versus the Sejuani.
And there is a window where Sejuani could have earlier ganks than a Zac. Zac usually doesn't gank before level 4, level 5 usually is kind of that tipping point. And Broxah has been picking up a lot of these scaling champions. The Nocturne was banned away from him this time around, but he's also picked it up. And it feels like that's just kind of been this Fnatic style. You know, Broxah playing a little bit slower, not necessarily that hard aggression that we saw at the World Championship.
But level 6, once again, I think we've talked about it. It feels like we talk about it so much, especially when it comes to junglers and the XP nerfs. Just feels like a huge catalyst for action. You look at the Urgot, you look at the Syndra on the side of Fnatic, and the Yasuo and the Aatrox on the opposite side alongside the Sejuani. There's just so many ultimates that are going to be crucial. Ooh.
Good hit, Hilly.
As well as some nice bindings that are going to be crucial for finding kills here as we approach the mid game.
This is something about the Kai'Sa Morgana lane, is that with the Kai'Sa Q and the Morgana W, you should have push priority, especially against Vayne Alistar. But again, that's when it gets scary. If Hilly and Rekkles are constantly going to be forward, they need to make sure that they're always having their vision out there. Kikis, even without ultimate, you know, delayed level 6, still has so much gank pressure, especially when Wadid has Flash Ignite.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Hylissang choosing to match that Ignite, ready to match the kill pressure if Wadid does overextend or overcommit for a play. Despite the small nerf to Ignite's damage, of course, a cooldown nerf as well, so could see more all-in attempts. And now Sencux feeling a lot more confident. You can see level 5 comes in, suddenly Yasuo gets to play a little bit more League of Legends. Using so many creeps to dash through, and just honestly at this stage obnoxious to play the laning phase for Nemesis. Really just has to wait for opportunities to find those good trades.
And it's just obnoxious to play. It's hard to land the Q when Yasuo is dancing everywhere, but top lane.
Bwipo almost out of mana. Does land a good disdain, rather, to turn that trade into his favor now. Can probably back off and return to lane without being forced to use the TP, as Broxah is there to back him up if anything should go wrong.
And I like the fact that finally it feels like Broxah and Bwipo are on the same page and the same side of the map. So many of Fnatic's problems have kind of been spread to every single lane. Bwipo has been giving up a lot of early deaths, and frankly Broxah just wasn't there to cover him. This time around, Bwipo is far forward. He's trying to punish this Aatrox Urgot matchup. We've seen it time and time again from Worlds and now. Urgot usually gets the favor here unless the Aatrox is able to outplay it. Just a little bit easier on Urgot, but Broxah was there. He's got the wards, he was underneath him, Bwipo then takes the back. This is no overextending and dying early.
Yeah, and the focus as well on the boots too, just giving the respect over to the Aatrox, the potential to get engaged on there on the top side. Just wants to be able to walk in and out of that creep wave to hit home. And interestingly enough, Aatrox opting to burn the TP here to get back to lane to try to get that pressure in his favor. And Bwipo not going to be forced to burn that, so that is a small advantage over to the side of Fnatic to have that TP that they could try to use to make a play elsewhere, right as level 6 is starting to approach.
I mean, it's a small advantage now, but it could actually snowball into a very big advantage, depending on how Bwipo actually uses that back timer or that TP.
Waiting for the level 6, though. Maybe we see Prophet try to use his level advantage to find something greater here. Bwipo, though, just sidestepping around. Isn't going to get pulled back in there. Prophet definitely coming out on top in these trades. Kindle Gem and the extra cooldown reduction obviously making Aatrox's life much easier in the laning phase. He can just spam that Darkened Blade.
And right now it's been pretty slow across the board. Now the junglers are starting to reach that point where they will have gank potential there. Again, Zac at the level 5. In fact, you can see the on the way ping from Broxah. They're just trying to communicate vision on that tri-brush. You can see that it's now been control warded out. And we'll see if Fnatic smell this. Looks like they do.
An early Ocean Drake, of course, a huge boon for top lane and mid lane, especially. Those solo laners would love to have the mana and health regen. It looks like Rogue will get it. Not going to be contested in the end by the Fnatic lineup. So much defensive vision right now for Fnatic. They are not interested in taking these fights at this stage of the game.
And you can say maybe that's a byproduct of the fact that they're 0-4. You know, if this was a Fnatic who was 4-0, maybe they have the confidence to look at something like that. But it's an Ocean, you're blind, why try it?
Sencux looking for the follow-up. Prophet now going to try to find his way in. Nemesis running for his life. The Ignite is there, and Sencux going to grab first blood. Fantastic start. Bwipo may have overstayed his welcome. Body block there on the ultimate for the Urgot. The Urgot is going to drop as well in just a moment. Rogue 2-0 up 7 minutes into the game.
And it looked so controlled from Fnatic to start. That defensive vision, not overexerting themselves, but then suddenly Rogue snap it back. Dive on Nemesis, the 2-for-1 special when Bwipo shows up.
Sencux now has to be careful though, as Broxah is throwing down a little bit more damage. May want to just run this one down. Not going to be able to chase out Sencux, so just clears the wave, stops him from getting any of that turret plating taken away, but really well played by this Rogue lineup.
And this is some of the issues of trying to lane against a Yasuo. Finds him with the tip there, goes into the ultimate. The displacement is long enough that Prophet also gets in position to help out with the damage and then finishes it off with Sencux.
And now, of course, Bwipo comes in. TPs realizes this was a bad decision, but courtesy of the new season, he can no longer cancel that TP to protect his mid laner, and so gives up his life as well. So that is both the TP advantage that Bwipo was able to get in his lane phase gone, as well as a solid start for Sencux. So things right now actually look fantastic for Rogue in this early game.
And of course, 2 missing summoner spells for both mid laners. The fact that Sencux doesn't have Flash or Nemesis, but it's always going to be more punishing on the likes of a Syndra because of that low mobility. Whereas if Yasuo has a well-timed minion wave, he still has so much mobility and safety in that mid lane. So we'll see if Kikis continues to abuse this on next rotation of the Sejuani ult.
Yeah, for now, clearing up the Raptors. Can just move to the bottom side, take the blue buff for himself, or donate it. Yasuo will not be needing it. One of the nice things about these Rogue solo lanes is that because neither of these champions rely on mana, they can pretty much just indefinitely stay in lane if they don't need to buy an item. And when you have a lead, pretty much always have that item advantage. Sencux playing confidently, moving forward, but Nemesis is going to take the bait. Moving back and forth, hoping to land that tornado, and of course the Yasuo, once he starts snowballing, you just cannot lane against him.
And this is just going to be the easy call. Kikis just needs to make sure that if Nemesis ever steps up, we kill him, or allow Sencux to continue to punish the matchup and be around for the counter gank, and then how it bleeds into the rest of Fnatic's jungle and starts punishing people like Broxah, and eventually bleeding down to Rekkles and Hilly.
But obviously, we're very much on the Rogue train right now. They got the 2 kills, they have that excellent early play, but the thing we need to look at is the bottom side for Rogue. 89 CS for Rekkles, coming up against HeaQ at 68. So despite the kills, a 400 gold deficit, rather almost 400 gold deficit for HeaQ in the laning phase. That's basically a kill.
Well, it was negative 28.5 CSD. I mean, he's right on statistical average for him.
And to be fair, he was shoved under the tower earlier on, but getting these kind of CS deficits is brutal in a professional game.
Oh, absolutely. And now we'll see if Brox is able to double down on it. Hilly and Rekkles have done a phenomenal job keeping that tri-brush clear.
HeaQ and Wadid just backing off. Brox's going to be forced to cancel the channel, and you can see Kikis hovering, though. He knows where the weak point of the map is right now, and he's playing around it.
Just the spidey sense.
Yeah, you go, oh, wait a second. Zach could definitely kill us right now. Wadid, body blocking, binding, not going to connect. That right there is a true best friend kind of move from the bot lane. Being willing to tank a binding in the face to stop your AD carry from getting their back canceled. Though maybe with a little bit of sustain here on the Cutlass, Vayne could do a little bit better in this laning phase, but it just feels like the push is going to continue to go in the favor of Fnatic.
Yeah, and that CS deficit is still going to hit like a truck between him and Rekkles. It's just getting worse, and he hasn't made his back to get that next purchase. So, I mean, at this point, the Cutlass is like, please, can I just sit in the lane and try to pick up any scrap of farm that Rekkles pushes into me?
Yeah, and it is not getting better here for Froskurinn. 112 now to 75. Continuing to get more difficult, but maybe Sencux overstays here. Broxah kind of just fishing for one of these counter gank opportunities, hoping to bait in a member of the Rogue lineup, but Rogue has been playing so patiently thus far. And even in the top side of the map, Rogue is starting to build up a lead in the Aatrox Urgot matchup. We saw Urgot winning out earlier on, but now, with the kill and the Black Cleaver under his belt, Prophet is looking quite comfortable.
This is a trap.
Goes in, they're going to look for the engage. Immediately, Vayne is popping the ultimate. That's a huge AD steroid. That's going to be a massive difference maker. Hylissang, though, trying to lock it down, trying to keep them both stunned up, and now Rekkles wants to fire back. HeaQ running for his life. The flash out. Wadid is going to body block, but he's all but set to fall. That's going to be a kill over to Rekkles as the final auto finds the cow.
And they thought that Rekkles and Hilly had made the back. Instead, they walked into the brush, hid themselves in a fog of war, and now have the kill gold to take back to base with them.
And look, you can never forget about the Fnatic Death Rush. In this case, this is like the trick that always works in solo queue every time, is this play right here.
And it was just well played about the information and vision. It's the fact that Hilly and Rekkles, like you're saying, it's a trick that works in solo queue, it works in competitive play. They assumed that they would be back in base because they had just taken their back. They probably backed into the bottom brush, walked in. So we get a little bit of a fast forward.
No fast forward, back to live as Prophet now trying to dive. Bwipo have to respect the Urgot ulti, of course, but have to respect it a lot less when you're in Aatrox with your ulti up and available. Now going to try to take down Prophet. He's forced to use his ulti early on. Bwipo does go gold, and they're trying to buy a bit more time, but Rogue is forced the lane swap already, and in goes the Zac, but it is too little too late. Aggro's going to reset on the back of that Aatrox ult, and Rogue are now set to break the first tower uncontested.
But this is a great dive and a great macro play from Rogue. It's the recognition that we are absolutely screwed in this bottom lane. The item difference between the Vayne and the Kai'Sa right now is too strong. Get out of the lane, Australian style. Bots going top, we're upside down. Just get us away from Rekkles.
And now Rogue are trying to double down, though. They're trying to get more here. And despite HeaQ being weak, they are confident they can take this Rift Herald, but Broxah and Hylissang are here to contest. They might just be forced to back off.
Get him, Hilly.
Fearless. He plays every champion like it's Alistar. I just feel like that is the truth of the
The charging Morgana.
Yeah, just run face first into it.
Puddle on the way out.
Hex flash in.
That's an out.
That's an out.
He doesn't want to
Blast
do
cone
that.
in, Hex flash out. And now Fnatic are going to get this Rift here. Oh, the reset. That is so awkward. It looks like they are still going to get it in the end. So what looked like it could have been an uncontested tower for Rogue does not get taken down. And in fact, Fnatic are going to be able to grab this Herald. And that is a big shift in the power of the game. 20k to 21.8. Rogue have the massive lane leads. But that Rift Herald could turn into so much more, unless Wadid has something to say about it. The binding does connect. Zac now looking to turn the fight. The Kai'Sa very strong, but the Zac may have overstayed his welcome. He's not going to catch anybody on that ultimate. Nash needs to make it up safety. There's the stun. There's Sencux on the backside. Now looking to find the follow-up. Now looking to leap in onto Hylissang, but a perfect stopwatch is going to stop him. Stuns him up. Lands the binding. Hylissang does not go down, but the knockup is there. Yasuo trying to convert. He does manage to get one back. Sencux cannot turn it in the end. Rekkles is online, and Rogue got to be running. HeaQ finds the stun, though. Prophet moving under the backside. He can try to turn this one. He can try to land the multi-man knockup. HeaQ still alive, running from Bwipo. Bwipo is going to take him down in the end. That's the 300 kill goal. That is a bloodbath on the top side of the map. Broxah leaps over, makes it out to safety. The mission impossible escape. Nemesis has no mana, but still, they are desperate to keep this fight going. Is he going to get pulled back? Yes, Prophet. He smells blood in the water. He wants to take down the Syndra. Kikis is moving forward too. Bwipo trying to stop them from getting anything there. Is the ulti. Bwipo now going to turn it. He's going to take this lane right back in his favor. Prophet trying to play this one well. Hits the first strike. Hits no. Bwipo, beautiful disdain. Who's going to get it? He takes him down! Absolutely outplayed with the Urgot knockup.
And you can see it in the road cams. Wadid head in hands as a TP. They're going to try to catch him, but Bwipo, he's on his way out.
Bwipo backing. HeaQ, desperate for a kill. Is he going to get it? HeaQ's forward. He does manage to take it. No! Bwipo flips him. The shutdown coming in. Massive for Rogue to get it back.
Oh.
I don't even know. Just explain what happened.
It was messy. It was a lot of back and forth. Ultimately, Fnatic did win the team fight, but that shutdown bonus in the Vayne's hands of everyone is going to be massive. As we take another look at it, shoutouts to Hilly. He did set this up initially for Rekkles to pick up 2 kills early on because he delayed the engage from Wadid by hitting him with the binding, and it all kind of looks disastrous until Bwipo shows up and it's just that big front tank. Rekkles, I believe, gets a double kill by also taking down the Yasuo. That's going to feel good, but this extended engage is really just about Bwipo walking people down. Prophet shows up, it looks okay. The fact that Nemesis sits with Bwipo for so long, though, without any mana, I think he finds a single stun on Aatrox in the very end to help Bwipo clean this up, but just on a knife's edge.
And we do not even have a chance to fully break down that play as the action is going to continue in mid lane. Someone will have Twitch clipped it, though, because that Aatrox was insane. Was just very well played by both sides. I will want to watch it back after this game, Frosco. But for now, we're going to see what Fnatic can do as they move in their control onto Rogue's bottom side. Kikis taking a lot of damage, knocked up, just keeping the chain CC there. Wadid is not interested in disengaging that. He's just going to walk right away, and Kikis looks like he's been thrown to the wolves as Rekkles is going to grab another kill. Prophet throws down a little bit more damage, but just caught out and killed.
I mean, that's one of those situations where Kikis and comms is just, I'm dead, leave me, I'm dead, I'm dead. And they're just trying to see what else they can get underneath Fnatic being in this jungle. And it feels like it was just pushing that mid wave into the tower, maybe tapping it a couple of times, but Rogue out of sorts, need to calm down, get back on their feet, and Fnatic's starting to hit that stride.
Definitely are. Then you check in on the Rogue lane, you see that Aatrox versus Urgot, you go, oh, things are going good for Rogue. You check that bottom lane, and things are looking like a disaster, because Rekkles is 50 CS up, and he just keeps raking in these kills.
And frankly, Kikis just way too overzealous here. Didn't have the information to know how many Fnatic members were just kind of waiting in the woodworks there. Thought that maybe he can contest for the buff, maybe get a cheeky still out there, and instead cost him his life.
Now Sencux is desperate to get something back. Of course, has the level advantage, has the Phantom Dancer too. Yasuo lethal in the 1v1s against AD carries, but not going to use anything else as the Rift Herald is summoned mid lane, and this puts Rogue in a bit of a pickle.
Very nice rotation from Fnatic, making sure that your waves are pushing your side lanes. Rekkles doesn't extend or overextend and greed for the wave and fall to the prey that Sencux was setting out. Instead, he just rotates behind the Rift Herald, and they get so much bang for their buck. Mid-tower going down. Just clean from Fnatic.
And Rogue started out the game so well outside of the bot lane CS discrepancy, winning in a lot of those lanes, making that sweet play in the mid lane, but now they're dead even in gold, even in Drakes, but Fnatic with the tower advantage. And Rekkles just continuing to farm up, approaching that 2-item point. The level 13 for Kai'Sa combined with the Rage Blade going to be massive as a break point for this champion.
It's also kind of where this power is put for both these teams, and it feels like it's actually slotted in the same place. Normally you look at the Urgot and the Aatrox, you're like, as long as they get their mismatched lane assignments, either Bwipo or Prophet could just be a monster in these side lanes. But both teams have done a good job isolating or getting their carries away from this Urgot and this Aatrox, making sure that they're constantly finding each other. Fnatic are pouring CS into Rekkles. You can see that 177 now onto the Kai'Sa, whereas Rogue have not been as efficient in pouring gold. They're actually putting it in Sencux's pocket.
You gotta hope for Sencux here. Jarm's Fist coming out, slowly but surely, building towards a few more defensive items along with the Phantom Dancer, hoping maybe he can be the person to eliminate Rekkles from these team fights, but the power to reposition incredibly hard for him to lock down the Kai'Sa.
It's also the safety that Hilly's Morgana is going to grant Rekkles. Throw the Black Shield on him, not only do you protect him from a lot of that hard CC, but you also empower him that if he does want to play aggressive, he can fly into those backlines.
And Rekkles did say, I mean, admittedly he said it's time to bring out the Tristana, but, you know, similar carry level performance can be had with the Kai'Sa. A lot of people were waiting to see this version of Rekkles. Lane dominant, building a huge CS advantage and showing up clutch in the team fights as well. Does feel like he is set up for success in these team fights with so many frontline threats from Fnatic in terms of Bwipo and Broxah that he can kind of just do whatever he wants if they get the team fight they're looking for.
Yeah, the zone control again is maybe a fight in mid.
Broxah trying to find the double connect, is going to stun them together. Rekkles with the Black Shield is going to be untouched, waits for it to fall down though. Rekkles to flash out, holding on to it now, looking for a little bit more as Weezy's can back off. Immediately they're going to delete Prophet, now trying to find Rekkles, chasing him down the Darkened Blade. Zach trying to leap to safety, but Rekkles is already firing back. He's going to cut through that health bar, and in comes Bwipo. Locks down. May look for the ultimate here. If he gets the fear, they may be able to reset it. Sencux is going to get deleted. No, just barely making it up. But Nemesis striking back from the lane phase to find that kill.
Again, a very messy fight from both teams again. Fnatic, though, managed to stand their ground, group everyone up, find the delayed flank, and now are pushing up through the mid lane. So continuing to find these wins. And it feels like when Fnatic are winning these very messy fights, that they're capitalizing by also taking objective. Whereas when Rogue are coming back into these skirmishes, all they get are the kills.
And this is just a barroom brawl. This is no holds barred. This is, you're just punching each other in the face shamelessly. Neither team is walking away without blood on their face. And right now, Nemesis hunting down Prophet. Not going to bite off more than he can chew at this stage.
Got the blast cone. He should walk it out. There you go.
But you're right, Froskurinn, that the objectives are going in the favor of Fnatic, but just one tower at this point. And it feels like this entire game could hinge on a single engage around the Baron.
So we look again at this this team fight. Again, it feels very messy.
Oh, you're gonna have to hold that thought because there's gonna be another one. HeaQ coming out for the movement speed alone on the Hylissang. Infernal in the eyes of both of these teams. There are so many members on each respective lineup that want this additional AD and AP.
Hilly is so confident on this Morgana to look for a flanking play. He flashed and ulted in that last team fight and almost instantly died. So I guess respect.
Playing limits. That is the Hylissang way, pushing the game to the limit. It looks like Fnatic will take control over the Drake area. Rogue going to concede and look to set up some vision around Baron, knowing that's the next big objective. A small win for Fnatic to be sure, but definitely a crucial one with a Syndra, Urgot, and Kai'Sa on your team.
It's also very telling about how Rogue feel right now at this state in the game. The fact that they just immediately evacuated the Infernal Drake as soon as they saw any tail of Fnatic. Like, it's not going well for us. We need more time. We need to find kind of the breaking points on the Yasuo before we're going to feel confident fighting again. So Rogue really want to stall out until they can get more items onto the Yasuo and get Sencux out into those side lanes. I feel it's like round 2 on this replay.
Definitely feels like round 2. HeaQ, though, is finally starting to put out some good damage and solid engage off the side.
Prophet's doing really well in these fights, constantly finding the knockups, but just dives way too deep, gets way overzealous. Like, the fight starts out so well for him and then just immediately turns into a big mistake, and that's the big swinging point for Fnatic. It felt like Prophet came in like, hammer's about to drop, and then just throws it away.
And I think we're just, honestly, if you're a Rogue fan, you're kind of waiting to see the team fight where Sencux really does get that good setup, where they get to start a fight on their terms, and where the wind wall gets to block a legitimate form of damage. But when Fnatic are coming from so many angles at the same time, that skill just does not feel very good. If they're fighting in a funnel, though, if they find a way to fight front to back for the Yasuo, it's pretty disgusting what wind wall can do.
Likewise for the Vayne.
Very true. 2 items now coming in for the Vayne, though. Crucial point. Rekkles working towards 3, but the Rage Blade plus the Gwynsu's on the Vayne can just let her shred through the tankier members in both Bwipo and Broxah. They're going to find the lockdown. Are they going to capitalize on this, though? Kikis very tanky. They choose not to pull the trigger there. And Morgana, of course, the binding. A nice luxury to have that sort of engage.
But yeah, the non-committal CC. It's like playing Yahtzee. You just throw it out, see what you catch. If you like it, Yahtzee.
You write it down.
You
Yeah,
got 'em.
Yahtzee. They die. If not, walk away. Not the same luxury that a champion like Alistar is going to have, though, in the fights to come.
So one of the issues that Rogue have been having is that their vision control, particularly around their flanks or their sides, hasn't been strong enough. You know, you talk about this idea where Rogue want to have that front-to-back fight so Yasuo can get the backline threat and Vayne can just eat through the front line and then eventually find the backline. But if you don't have your flanks covered and you don't have the vision, then Zach's popping out of places, Bwipo's finding the flank on you. That time around, it was Syndra comes from the side.
And now it's Rekkles and Hylissang trying to find the flank on you. If a binding lands here, Prophet's going to die. And an ulti is going to land. Prophet now going to run, trying to dash to safety. Wants to try to turn this on a Rekkles. Does a decent amount of damage, but is now running for his life. And Hylissang probably happy to trade his ult for the Aatrox ult there. It is going to make it nigh impossible for Prophet to feel comfortable diving onto the backline in the fights to come.
Felt like the only saving grace was the fact that the minion wave was in there, right as Prophet was just a little bit of a
Block
buffer.
the binding from me, please. And they did. They were good. Sencux versus Nemesis. I'm not going to see it. I still feel like we're waiting for that dream Alistar Yasuo setup, but it feels just so impossible when Fnatic are playing so spread out. They're not really grouping.
Also, it's a testament to Fnatic's vision, the fact that all of these fights, they are having more information than Rogue.
True. And of course, right as I say, they're not grouping. They group up to get this Baron vision, putting themselves in a good spot to contest this. The Kai'Sa easily going to shred through that one. The rest of the champions not as great at Baron DPS, but should be enough.
I don't know, Syndra at early stages in the game is still going to have massive burst on the Baron, can really help with securing that smite if you do want to attempt a 50-50. As long as you time your smite with the Syndra burst damage, it's going to be very hard to take it away.
Definitely will be the case. Don't know if they want to group in the pit, though. Very terrifying, of course, against the Yasuo in that exchange. And Sencux continues to be a side lane threat, but he used to have a big level advantage, and now he's a little bit behind in this matchup. You see Rekkles immediately back off as he loses vision in that brush. And Sencux, oh, the wind wall just got used. Are they going to capitalize on that? Flash forward. Hilly sees it. He smells blood in the water. Not going to follow up, though. Just trading flashes.
The more I see from Hilly, the more that I just like the bloodlust of this player.
He goes, wind wall is down. If I hit this binding, he dies. And that's true. Did not hit the binding, sadly, for him. And Wadid, I feel like both these supports are just looking for a play. I feel like they're hungry for it. But Kikis, though, may have overstayed his welcome. Nemesis throwing out a Dark Sphere, ready to follow up with the stun if necessary. But both teams just poking, looking for that opportunity, looking for that weakness in the armor of the opposition.
It's all about Nemesis' zone control with his stun to make sure that he can keep Rekkles safe. You can see that he zoned off Aatrox there.
Broxah with the black shield as well, chasing down Sencux. They got the wind wall cooldown out already.
They should just walk it back towards this Baron now. Fnatic have complete vision control of it. They want to either set a trap.
Oh, they've definitely set a trap. Broxah trying to find the engage, moving over. But Rogue just splitting up, and Prophet, meanwhile, is pushing it on the bottom side. So Fnatic need to pull the trigger here. They need to go for this Baron, or they're just going to lose a tower for nothing.
And again, the 50-50 is not as punishing for Fnatic because they have the Smite and the Syndra. So they are very comfortable with their vision denial, with their composition, and their ability to turn off the Baron. All of these champions can very quickly turn from the pit and start a fight.
Scatter the Weak and the Black Shield, two cooldowns you have to keep your eye on. They're going to be crucial to stop any kind of engage, or they can just immediately pick off Kikis. Well played here, pulled right back in by Bwipo. Now the knockup comes in, but the fear is coming out as well. Prophet trying to find some damage on the backline, leaping in onto Nemesis. Pulled back, ulti already been consumed. Rogue now on the retreat. Zach leaping in once again. Prophet running for his life to try to save his team, but Fnatic just clean up the fight.
And just the zone control, the fact that Fnatic knew, we've got the vision control, we can turn off the Baron, just welcome to the meat grinder. HeaQ is too low range on the Vayne. He can't get anywhere near this composition. If Urgot steps forward and if Syndra throws out Scatter the Weak, that's longer than Vayne's auto attack range. You can't do anything.
They are going to be able to grab a tower mid lane, but I do not think it is worth the Baron at this stage in the game. 2K goal lead for Fnatic, 26 minutes in. The Baron, though, the big question mark. What can Fnatic get done? Rogue have to respect the potential for disaster here.
Well, with the Syndra, they can just approach a tower, and as long as they have the threat of that Scatter the Weak and the dive from Zach, they can try to force anything. As here's a trap.
Are they going to try to go for it? They've been spotted out. This is no... Yeah, you're not stuck in here with us, or we're not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with whatever.
I don't think anyone's stuck anywhere. Everyone just kind of walked away from that. Oh, we got him!
Except for HeaQ. Running.
Ooh.
That was dangerously close.
He's still going.
And he just doesn't want to let him back. The Zach is coming. HeaQ is not going to find mercy from this Fnatic lineup. I take it back. They are going to give him mercy, Froskurinn.
You shall live because this dragon is worth more.
Vayne is worth 500 gold. Don't you talk down about my man.
He's not
HeaQ.
literally
2-1 and 2 All the resources are funneled into him if you're wondering why he has that 500 gold. He's reserved a disproportionate amount of gold relative to the rest of his team, so he gets a nice little bounce.
Yeah, the disproportionate amount of gold is between him and Rekkles right now, because he's got about 80 CS on him. Again, so many teams don't take into account the ability to turn off of the Baron. The fact that you have someone like a Zac who can immediately be on the Baron and then suddenly into the team fight, it's massive when you are setting up a Baron from blue side, as opposed to from red side when you're playing around choke points.
Oof. Fnatic now breaking those tier 2s quite easily. Prophet continues to split push. The rest of his team are holding on for dear life, but he's feeling good in this side lane.
And with the gold advantage and the item advantage that Fnatic have, not that they're trying to threaten the AC here, because it looks like Rogue just rolled over and gave them the structure, but if they did, they have the power and confidence to dive right now.
A lot of damage, though, goes onto Broxah. He's just going to go right back over the wall. There's a 3.5 item Rekkles. That is a Death Cap Luden's Syndra with double flat pen. So both Sencux and HeaQ are kind of forever holding on for dear life. Because even Rekkles just hits like a truck right now.
I mean, you're looking for the miracle team fight from Rogue. You've got to have like a multi-man Pulverize into a multi-man Yasuo ultimate, and even then it might be too little too late.
Here's the TP. They're now looking for the flank. Sencux is trying to find some kind of knockup. Wadid is hoping to find an engage, but Fnatic are confident. They're grouped up. They're walking down the mid lane. Rogue approaching from both sides. Fnatic pulling back, not looking to get flanked. Wadid finds potentially a backline, but it just is the key for now Bwipo to step forward. They see Wadid behind them. They're playing this team fight nice and slow, and Rogue are losing all of their health just trying to find this perfect setup, just to find this perfect engage.
And I want to put attention to Nemesis and Hilly. Watch where they stand and how they are just this bodyguard for Rekkles. Nemesis immediately turned to Wadid and said, okay, Alistar, step up. I'm going to force Scatter the Weak. The Black Shield is here. It's such great responsibility and communication from Hilly and Nemesis to understand exactly what their responsibility was to their AD carry.
And well played to break the second inhibitor, and sadly that felt like what could be the last opportunity for Rogue to find a winning team fight, because now Rekkles is at 4 items. Now the Syndra is at 3, and if you misstep, if you do not have that win wall, the Vayne or the Yasuo will most likely get one shot. I don't know if Phantom Dancer is going to be enough, even with that lifeline passive.
It's actually a very cool composition from Fnatic. We haven't seen Syndra in a while, but she acts very similar to how a Cassiopeia would in this matchup, where normally when you have a Cassiopeia with a hyper carry like a Kai'Sa or a Vayne, it just offers so much protection in the backline because you can't dive into someone like Cassiopeia because of the ultimate. Same thing for Syndra. You can't dive back into a Scatter the Weak, but because of her long range, it also means that you have that fishing potential, that Yahtzee that we're talking about, the non-committal CC pieces, Scatter the Weak, Dark Binding. It offers Fnatic a lot of flexibility in how they want to pick and choose their fights.
And at this point, not both the composition and the gold lead now backing up Fnatic as well. They want to pick a fight here. 2 inhibitors down. This is clinical. This is textbook style.
Look at Wadid. He's trying so hard to get around this deep vision,
but they know he's coming now.
The flank.
If they want to go, they need to go now.
Watch Nemesis, he's owns him off.
He's looking for the disengage. Now Broxah looking for the re-engage. Wadid, is he going to find the opportunity? Can they get anything else? Prophet getting down a decent amount of damage. Sencux looking now for the fall. Bwipo has spent the ultimate. Fnatic pulling back, realizing they're at a cooldown disadvantage, and they're just going to retreat. They're playing this so patiently. Rogue need to pull the trigger. They need to find some kind of advantage because the creeps are moving into the bottom side. Kikis going to interrupt the engage. Ooh, Sencux now locked out. Prophet trying to fire back. It's just a slow, steady fight. Both sides poking at each other, but it's Fnatic who's going to win the day because look at those super minions just hitting free on the Nexus. Bwipo knows that now he just has to buy time. Rogue have taken way too long to find this engage, and a tower is going to drop in favor of Fnatic.
And Fnatic said in their interviews that while they were losing games, they felt that their team fighting was still clean, and you're starting to see some of this well-oiled machine. Every member knows exactly what their responsibility is to the team fights. Nemesis constantly zoning away Wadid, constantly dissuading him from looking for the engagement.
Froskurinn, this could be the last dance. Prophet finding a good engage. Rekkles locked up. Wadid buying a little bit more time, but he's just instantly deleted. Broxah bringing multiple members back. Prophet trying to find anything. Sencux in the middle of the team, but he's just going to get taken out. Triple for Rekkles. He wants a little bit more. Can he get anything else in the exchange? The Quadra. I cannot believe it. The pentakill for Rekkles. He is back, ladies and gentlemen, taking down Rogue. A good way to get him started in this season.
And finally, we have some momentum back in Fnatic. The fact that it's Rekkles as the hard carry, the pentakill to top it off, and they're finally on the board.
Fnatic taking down Rogue. 1 and 4 as Rogue moved to 0 and 5. You can see mixed feelings, but if you have to find your first win like this, at least you found it with a Rekkles pentakill. We're going to need to see more from Fnatic in the coming weeks, but this is an excellent start.
And finally, maybe some momentum back behind them. It's going to feel good to kind of shake up the long lost streak still. Only day 1 of this weekend, so uphill battle for Fnatic, but can see the big smiles. It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely has. Rogue putting up a very good fight in multiple stages in the game, but Fnatic's team fighting is flawless. Hylissang was fearless, and it just didn't feel like Rogue ever could find that solid engage. The final fight, Frosco, we see the headbutt pulverize in right into the black shield, and everything instantly falls apart.
Still not flawless, but a lot of good looks from Fnatic. You know, Bwipo no longer dying in those solo lanes, was constantly abusing his matchup. Nemesis taking a lot of that agency, having the Syndra, knowing exactly where he needed to be, constantly creating space for Rekkles, and Rekkles just saying, you know, I'm one of the best ADCs in LEC. Just make the space for me, and I will make the plays. Picks up the pentakill.
And he has the whole team there to peel for him. Well played by the Fnatic lineup to get that first win on the board. Once again, this does not undo the tough first weeks, but it is a good sign for the team to find this win, to give themselves a little more confidence, to bring themselves back up.
It's a sigh of relief is what it is from Fnatic fans. And now it's a matter of what seems to be a very emotionally driven team, is this enough to put Fnatic on the up and up? And I did see a lot of growing points for them, a lot of evolution. It seems like they've been reviewing the tapes, that they know what they need to work on, and they have shored it up.
Yeah, and of course Rekkles is 5th pentakill, I believe. So, incredible. Have to double check if that's across EU all time, or if that's, I feel like there has to be more. He's just had so many pentakills.
The Tristana one, the Sivir one.
The other
Kai'Sa
Sivir one.
No, what was that? Kai'Sa in the finals?
So many. 5 all time. First of the LEC Spring Split, though, is 5th penta of all time in EU. And let's take another look at it. Let's look and appreciate the hard work of Morgana to Black Shield at the perfect time to give Rekkles his pentakill.
And finally, Rogue did try to get in. They knew that this is how it was going to go. It was now or never. So again, you kind of understand the idea, but too little too late.
And his health bar does not drop. So while I was at first very excited for Rekkles, and absolutely this man deserves some praise for getting a pentakill, he just walked them down. He actually just walked them down.
It was a bit of a meat grinder. That was a wood chipper.
That was brutal. That was Urgot stomach's level of brutal. Like they pulled the entire Rogue team in and just chopped them up.
Still a little bit shaky in some of those early transitional fights. The one around top lane kind of pops out to mind, but the fact that Fnatic were able to calm it down, right the ship, and then just very methodically clean it out. Much better back half of that game.
Definitely the case. Well, right now we've got Bwipo, Nemesis, and Rekkles fighting to become your Kia player of the game. So head over to @Esports on Twitter and vote.
It's hard. Do you give it to the flashy pentakill, or do you give it to Bwipo and Nemesis, the guys who are creating all of that zone control?
Bwipo had that one really cool, really good team fight. That's all I'm saying.
He did clean it up on the top side.
Really looked good. Hilly walked face first into Rogue like a million times and never died, though. So I'm surprised to not see him on that list. But I think I would personally give it to Bwipo. I think the pentakill is definitely impressive, but also he didn't get touched. It's not like he like outspaced anyone. There was just like 3 tanks next to him, and they didn't touch him. So he kind of just. Pew, pew, pew.
But you think about all the times that Wadid and Kikis and Sencux were trying to get onto that backline, and Nemesis was just like a one-man army, just threatening with Scatter the Weak, like playing the goalkeeper. It wasn't as flashy as Bwipo or Rekkles, but did his job.
Yeah, I really like Flashy, though. I think the people really like Flashy, too, which is probably why Rekkles is going to win. But I say Bwipo. Urgot is not often a champion I consider exciting mechanically, but Bwipo definitely looked like it that time.
I would put emphasis on why they won the game as Bwipo.
Definitely the case. Well, after suffering their first loss last week, Misfits Gaming are looking to bounce back against Excel Esports. Before that matchup, we're going to hear from Bwipo, so be sure to stick around. Hylissang, though, trying to lock it down, trying to keep them both stunned up, and now Rekkles wants to fire back. HeaQ running for his life, the flash out. Wadid is going to body block, but he's all but set to fall. That's going to be a kill over to Rekkles. Now looking to find the follow-up, now looking to leap in onto Hylissang, but a perfect stopwatch is going to stop him. Stuns him up, lands the binding. Hylissang does not go down, but the knockup is there. Yasuo trying to convert, he does manage to go back. Sencux cannot turn it in the end. Bwipo trying to stop them from getting anything there is the ulti. Bwipo now going to turn it. He's going to take this lane right back in his favor. Prophet trying to play this one well. Hits the first strike, hits no. Bwipo, beautiful disdain. Who's going to get it? He takes him down!
I'm on Sejuani. Go Sejuani.
I have ult on her. Can we just one-shot her? And turn off TP. I got one shot. Turn on TP.
Go Yasuo.
Careful, I stunned. Kill Aatrox.
I have shield, shoot. Shield flash.
Here we go, Nash.
Froskurinn, this could be the last dance. Prophet finding a good engage. Rekkles locked up. Wadid buying a little bit more time, but he's just instantly deleted. Broxah bringing multiple members back. Prophet trying to find anything. Sencux in the middle of the team, but he's just going to get taken out. Triple for Rekkles. He wants a little bit more. Can he get anything else in the exchange? The Quadra. I cannot believe it. The pentakill for Rekkles. Fnatic taking down Rogue. 1 and 4 as Rogue moved to 0 and 5.